Hi everyone, hope everyone is well. In today's video I am unboxing Donning the Sacred Heart. This is Limits of Glory campaign number 5 and is published by Formsquare Games. And I thought we'd have a look and see what you get in the box. Now the game continues with its, game series continues with its graphical style, front cover artwork as the previous games. Now it is campaign number 5, but if you've got them, campaigns 3 and 4 are in one boxed product. So this is the fourth box product in the series, and I think it's a bit deeper box than the other games. Looking at it, compare them to the other games on my shelf. If we have a quick look at the back of the box here, you get a 23 by 16 inch mounted map, 2 commander busts. I'm quite interested to have a look at those. Wooden pawns, dice, 4 counter sheets, event clock, combat table, election ballot board, 2 command charts and a rule book. And we're talking about historical period of March 1793. And I'll let you have a look at that. I will put the link in the description to the publisher's website. So if you want to read more about the historical background, then by all means do so there. Players is 2, suitable for solo, and I've played the other games solo perfectly fine and really enjoyed them in this series. Time is 2 to 3 hours and a moderate level of complexity. I would agree, if it's similar to the other games, I would agree with that. And for my money, if you wanted to really pinpoint it, I would say it's sort of slightly the lower side of moderate rather than the higher side of moderate, in my opinion. So what we'll do next is I'm going to open the box up exactly as it's packed, so you can see exactly what you get inside. And then we'll do a deeper look at some of the individual components. So here we've got the box open. These are our command busts, and splendid they look. Absolutely excellent. Oh, brilliant. We've got our dice and our pawns, nice big chunky dice, and the various wooden pawns that we'll need for the game. Put those to one side. Then we've got our rulebook here, and we'll have a closer look at the rulebook. Full colour, excellent. Then we have our election ballot with these characters here. Very nicely done. That is 2. That's like a thick cardstock material, one-sided. We've got our counter sheets in cellophane. We'll have a look at those in closer detail. The previous games in this series have excellent counters, both excellent in terms of production and the sort of the graphics, layout and style, etc. They look great. I'm going to move the box a bit because the last few components are a bit tight. So here we've got our Republican command chart. Very nicely done here, and you'll be using these in the game. Single sided, a nice thick, not quite as thick cardstock as the other, but still a good cardstock. The Royalist command chart for the Royalist side. Then we have some of the player aids, if they're the right term. You'll be using these through the game. If you've played any of the other games, these look very familiar, but I would imagine some of the detail obviously is different as befits this game in the series, this historic period. And here's our combat table that we'll be using. Again, very nicely laid out, very clear. One of the things I do like about this series of games is the clarity of the game while you're playing it. Everything's just really tidily laid out, very aesthetically pleasing, and looks great on the table. Now this is the mounted map, and we'll have a look at that separately. But before we do, I think we'll have a deeper look at the rulebook. Now, as I previously mentioned, the rulebook from the other games in the series have all proven to be absolutely excellent. Very well written, brilliantly illustrated and designed from a graphical point of view. and excellent edit on everything that I've read so far. So this is the first printing, 2026 of course, and as you can see it's full colour. The game does a really good job of helping you understand all the different components and lay the game out on the table. It's a quite different style of war game to say a lot of the more traditional hex and counter games that I play, and a welcome change for that. So we've got our victory conditions here, victory points, and you can see this is a good example actually. Nice big font, reads really well, especially for someone like me who does have to wear glasses when reading. Very characterful illustrations throughout. Yeah, again, nicely laid out, everything about the setup. I'm going to flick through these quite quickly so you get a sense. Sequence of play. Commander seniority. So that looks the same as previous games, where you've got this sort of command. I'll just call it. What's the word I'm looking for? Sort of a command construct of seniority that works really, really elegantly. Movement from one area to the next. We've got into our turn. As you can see, again, just really nicely laid out. I have found in the previous rulebooks, and I would imagine this is the case of this one, that the readability of the rules is really good. Like I can remember in each game, I would read through the rule book. I play a lot of games, a wide variety of games. I'll read through the rule book, sorry, and then have the game laid out in front of me and go through the examples of movement and combat and so forth to get a feel for the game before playing it with other people. And I certainly would play it solo. And I found it all very, very, very readable and understandable. Actually didn't take too long, even though we're at 33 pages. I think that's primarily because they do use a nice big font, which I really welcome. So the text, again, it's split down into sort of categories or areas, if you will. And again, I find that for me much easier to read and digest, and therefore get the game to the table quicker. And we've got an excellent quick reference at the back as well. So this looks, first impressions, looks absolutely excellent. As I said, the rulebooks in this series have all been brilliant. So this looks to be following that tradition. So I think next, let's have a look at some of the counters. One of the things I really do like about this publisher's counters, they're really bright and colourful, and they really do stand out on the board. A great character to them. That is not always, I'm not saying war games are flat, but it's a different character, it's a different aesthetic to a lot of hex and counter war games that I play. And these look excellent. The cut is not cutting through any of the important information. Nice and tidy, very nicely laid out. Absolutely fantastic. They are single-sided, and we've got some more here that we'll have a look at. Getting really characterful artwork for some of these counters here. Got these characters here and these counters here. The other thing I would say as well, in terms of the quality of the components, having played all the games in this series and some of the most of them multiple times, they have there's never been any sign of wear or tear on the game components at all. And the same applies to these. They look absolutely fantastic. What a great job. Oh yeah, I love these. These are brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they look great. And when I say double single-sided, it's just pure matte black finish on the back. They are nice thick counters too, and they don't need clipping. So they're nicely rounded on the edges here, and they look great they'll look great on the board and punch out really, really nicely. Fantastic job. I just thought I'd show these pieces here in a bit more detail. Hopefully the camera is showing it in focus. They're really nice. Again, adding that extra character to the game. Really nicely done. Both of them are excellent. and there's no small parts really that I think I would worry about breaking off or anything like that. They look great. You could even paint them, I think. Of course, I paint a lot of figures and stuff like that. So if you wanted to, you don't have to, of course. Yeah, they look absolutely splendid. And I think this is a first for this publisher. And they will give the game just that extra little bit of quality. And keep saying character. Yeah, character, I suppose. Absolutely brilliant. I really like them. Well done. And here's our mounted game board. It's a very thick, sturdy mounted board. All the other games in the series have all come with mounted boards, he says confidently. I'm sure they all do. And they've all stood the test of time, numerous game play sessions. It follows a lot of the same elements. It's got its sort of very distinct graphical style. It looks great on the table. One of the things I have found, and normally you would play it, sorry, I should say, clearly you would play this with the board portrait. I'm showing it landscape because it helps with the camera. One of the things I've always found with this game series, and this looks to be in keeping, because of the graphical style, the gameplay language of the board, it makes it very inviting for perhaps players who don't play a huge amount of war games. I can think of the previous games in the series I've played with people who don't play a huge amount of, say, Hex Encounter war games, for example. And it's not I think predominantly because it's quite colourful, it's very aesthetically pleasing, it's got a great level of playful characterfulness to it, but it looks quite accessible as well, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Everything's very clear. Everything's a nice big font, both for the names of the different areas and the numerics on those areas as well. So it's really characterful border that I absolutely love. And the gameplay charts and so forth on here as well just all work really, really nicely. Once you've been through the rulebook and understood the rules, maybe done some examples of movement and combat and whatnot, and that sort of command chart, that command structure, that was the word I was looking for, structure. Once you've got your head around that, which is very straightforward to do so, you'll kind of be aware and you'll be able to play this game quite quickly, I think. I have also, with some players, taught them how to play this game whilst playing it as well. Not this particular game in the series, but the previous games. And there seems to be a lot of carryover from the previous games in terms of the core mechanics at first glance, but obviously with some new elements as well. So the board looks absolutely fantastic, lays brilliantly smooth and flat on this table. This table is not the smoothest, most flat table in the world. I'll be honest with you, it's quite old, but it looks absolutely brilliant. So much like the other games in the series, my first impressions are very favourable. I've enjoyed every single game this publisher has made. Quality of the components is excellent, and I can clearly see, looking through this is certainly as good, and with these command busts here, even better than some of the previous games. And you get a lot for your money. Everything looks really nicely laid out. A huge amount of time has been poured into this game, you can tell. It looks very playable, very readable. And like I said, for me, this game series certainly fits in that medium, maybe just slightly lower end of medium for me. There's definitely new elements in the game. I can see here we've got the election ballot I've kept out there just to highlight that. So there's going to be some new things for me to learn. If you've played any of the previous series, I would imagine, looking at the rulebook and the components, you're probably going to be able to get up to speed with this quite quickly. It does not matter if you have never played any of the previous games. It looks completely standalone and would be as good an introduction to the series as any, I would say. In terms of the quality of just the components themselves, absolutely excellent. This publisher makes wonderful games, and this looks to be continuing that part. And it's a welcome addition to the wargame hobby. Like I said, the games are a little bit different than a lot of other more traditional Hex Encounter games I play, especially for this historical period. This is a bit earlier in the compared to some of the Napoleonic games that I've played from this series, but there's something to learn for me there. So I'm eager to get the game rulebook out with a nice cup of coffee or tea, maybe a little bit of background jazz music, of course. Read through the rulebook, get the game on the table, go through especially the new mechanics, and refresh myself on how the core gameplay works as well. And then I'll play it through solo, and then I'll play it with some other people, and we'll get a two-player game going. And then maybe what we'll do with this game, once I've played through a couple of times, then we'll do a full review. But if you've played any of the previous games in this series, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear perspectives on this game series. Like I said, it's one of my favourites, so I'm very much looking forward to getting this to the table. And I think that wraps up for today. So thanks a lot for watching. As always, please do leave a comment in the comment section if you've played any of the previous games, and love to hear your thoughts. And take care, and thanks for watching as always. Thank you.